Are you okay with them? To explain something again? And I think you have received your assignments by now. Did you all get it?
Yes, Miss Katie. Okay.
Okay. So did you go through it? How was? Are you confident to do it? What are your ideas? Did you all go through your assignments? So okay, so your presentation, I think I have explained a little bit about the structure of your assignment on a previous lecture. So you have to do a presentation and you have a written assignment. Like you have to write, you have to answer several questions using several softwares. So the presentation you have um, you will be getting 20% of your marks for the presentation and 80 for the other part where you are writing a report. Right, so the presentation is scheduled to be held on the 28th of January, and the other report to be submitted on 5th. And so I think you have already gone through your mail, so you have to submit your assignment to Turnitin, and you have to check for plagiarism, and afterwards you have to submit to your uh, student portal or something. So make sure you submit it earlier, because if you get a larger value for your plagiarism, you have to correct it and submit again. So make sure you start your submission like 1 day earlier. Okay. Yeah, you have to upload your soft copy of the report to this portal. Right. Yeah. Okay. So this is your assignment. Your um, this is the coursework. Do you have the presentation details here? No. Yeah. So this is the report where you have to answer these questions. So we'll discuss about that. And what about your presentation topic? Did you get it?
No, ma'am. It's only this shared.
Yeah, only this document is shared.
Hmm.
Okay, so Did anyone of you ask about it? Where your presentation document is? Okay, let me check with your course coordinator and get back to you now. Give me a second. Yeah, I just checked with your course coordinator. He mentioned that the presentation, they still haven't got the presentation with them. When as soon as he get the presentation, the assignment regarding the presentation, he will share it with you all. Okay, so until then, you can go through your this assignment where you have to write the report. So yeah, I'll briefly discuss about this assignment now. So you can then start doing your assignment, right? So here what you have to do is uh, you have to answer several questions from A to H, I think. For that, I think the data, yeah. They will be sharing, yeah, still they haven't shared the data sets with you as well. They will share this a link where you will be able to download the data sets which are required for this assignment, right? So you will be getting something like yeah, like this folder here. If you can see, this is a folder which your previous batch has used. So there will be a data set regarding each and every question, right? So for question A, there will be some data sets. For question B, another set of data. Like that, they will provide you some data sets, maybe CSV files, maybe shape files, right? Like this. So they will be providing these data sets for you. So it will be given to you in a link, in a separate link. I think that link also hasn't been shared yet. So you will be getting getting that the data sets as well, right? So initially, I will explain what you have to do here. Then after you get the data sets and all, and when you are ready, you can start working on this assignment, right? What you have to do is you have to understand the given tasks. So in each question, a task is given to you. So the data set will be based on Sri Lanka, right? And there may be geospatial and non-geospatial data sets as well, right? So you have to apply relevant tools, techniques, methods which you have learned in your business analytics subject, and right, and the source data will be provided to you, shape files, raster files, CSV files, text files, Excel files, or any file format will be given to you, right? So you can use these um, these softwares, right? You can use R Studio, R Commander, QGIS, PostgreSQL, Google Earth, any analytics related software that they have given here, right? So you have to use these tools, these applications, right? You can't use any other application. For example, you can't use MATLAB, right? Like that. So we will be talking about R and R Studio today and on the next week as well. Right. So yeah, the student is required to do the following data analysis, visualizations based on data sets provided with this assignment using R Studio, R Commander, QGIS, PostgreSQL, Google Earth, and other related supportive tools. So supportive tools means you can use any plugins, any external libraries with these applications, but you can't use any other application, right? All required data sets have been included within the dataset folder as a separate subfolder per each question. So this kind of folder will be given to you, right, with a separate folder for each question. Okay, so the first question, application of business analytics to analyze how effectively various social and economic factors contribute for drunk driving and fatality. Fatality means deaths. And how to take effective legal measures to mitigate such incidents based on the US survey. So there are applications where business analytics are used to analyze how effectively social and economic factors contribute for drunk driving, right? So what they are analyzing is how social and economic factors, how the social factors or social reasons or economic reasons affect drunk driving and deaths regarding drunk driving, right? And how legal measures should be taken to reduce or mitigate such incidents, right? So those kind of tasks, how to mitigate drunk driving, how to take legal measures to reduce drunk driving and deaths. So these things are happening. These things are happening using certain analytics. So they are happening in the US, right? A dataset named fatality.csv. So fatality.csv file will be given to you, right? A dataset named fatality.csv has been provided for you to uncover possible associations available with traffic fatality rate, per capita personal income, traffic fatality rate with tax on case of beer, traffic fatality rate on minimum legal drinking age, and traffic fatality rate with average miles per driver. So this information will be given to you, right? Okay, let me read this. Using correlation analysis supported by suitable hypotheses with the aid of suitable business analytics tools such as these ones. So what you have to do here is this fatality.csv file will be given to you. And you have to build the relationships or the associations with these ones. Traffic fatality rate with per capita personal income. How per capita personal income affects the traffic fatality rate. So for example, if the personal income is higher, then more like larger vehicles or certain kind of vehicles can be bought by the people. Then when these vehicles are being used, then fatality or traffic fatality can happen. And for example, another one is per capita personal income. If the per capita personal income increases, then people have money to buy anything that they like, anything that they desire. So they buy alcohol and other alcohol-based products, right? Because they have money with them, they have a higher per capita personal income. Then they buy those kind of drugs, use them, and then they can be affected with drunk driving and maybe deaths, right? So you have to. So it was an example that I have mentioned. You have to find the real reason, the real association with the rate of the traffic fatality, right? How much deaths has happened, or does the deaths increase or decrease with these factors: per capita personal income. And another relationship you can use traffic fatality rate versus tax on case of beer, right? If when the tax of beer increase, then people won't be able to buy beer. Then maybe drunk driving will reduce. I don't know. You have to check with the figures in this file, right? The data set is there with you. Fatality.csv file contain the data set. Based on that data set only, you have to build the associations with these ones: traffic fatality rate and per capita personal income, traffic fatality rate and tax on case of beer, traffic fatality rate and minimum legal drinking age. If the age is low, then lot of people drink and drive, and if the age limit is higher, then more mature people are there. So like that, you have to find the relationship and give the reasons as well, right? Minimum legal drinking age and another association with traffic fatality rate and average miles per driver, right? Traffic fatality rate and average miles per driver. So you have to do correlation analysis. You have to build hypothesis, right? So for that, you have to use business analytic tools such as R, RStudio, RCommander, right? RStudio or RCommander you can use. Analysis should be followed by critical discussions of the findings. So what you have to do here is you have to find the similarities or the differences or the how things change according to these things, these comparisons: traffic fatality rate and tax on case of beer, traffic fatality rate and minimum legal drinking age, traffic fatality rate and average miles per driver. How the fatality rate or the drunk driving issue, whether it increases or decreases due to this, with these reasons, right? You have to show it depending on your data set, right? Don't just look at this question and say yes. When the drinking age is low, then small children start to drink, like that. You do that kind of information is not here in this case study. So you have to use what is there in the case study and answer the question, right? Answer the question means you have to do some analysis and you have to present it. I mean, you have to write it. Okay. Any question? Do you have any question regarding that? No, right? Okay, so you have to use R Studio or R Commander to answer this question, right? And question B. So based on what you have found on question A, you are required to develop a well-explained statistical model to predict precisely the traffic fatality rate using statistical regression analysis followed by explanations of the resulting model. So what you have to do here is you have to go and find what is on question A. Okay, so did you understand that question? So based on what you have found on question A, you are required to develop a well-explained statistical model. So you have to find some new things, right? You have to find some statistical based data. So you can use I think several functions, we talked about them. You can use those functions and you have to build a statistical model, or you have to explain why is this happening, how it is happening, things like that, right? Traffic fatality rate using statistical regression analysis followed by explanation of the resulting models, right? Traffic fatality rate uses minimum statistical regression model, right? So for here also you have to use business analytic tools such as R Studio, R Commander. Analysis should be followed by critical discussion of the findings, right? So right. So based on what you have found on question A, you thought of helping a well-explained statistical model, right? A well-explained statistical model. Right? Any question regarding that one? No? Okay. So can you go through question C also, and then we'll discuss about it. Okay. So in question C, what happens? What they are asking is, develop a Sri Lanka map that visualizes prisoners information referred to year 2019 with the aid of table 2.43 in page number 94. So if you can remember, there was a small child, right? So this child, sorry, there was a small so hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am. We can.
Okay. So in question C, what you have to do is they are asking you to develop a Sri Lankan map that visualizes prisoners' information referred to year 2019 with the aid of this table. So this table will be given to you uh, in a maybe in a PDF document, page number 94, prisoners by district, this one chapter of economic and social statistics of Sri Lanka report. Yeah, this report will be given to you, right? As I showed you here, these under these folders, this report will be given to you. So there will be a table 2.43. So that table you can use that table, and there are some information regarding prisoners, right? Uh, the map processing should be done using provided vector dataset. The dataset, the shape files also will be provided to you. The map should be properly explained based on visualized information. Okay, so you have to, you will here you have to include this data. So if the data comes in a table like this, you have to include, or you have to type that data into the maybe the uh, attribute table of the relevant shapefile, right? So I don't know how they will be providing the shape files. So based on the shape file only you can insert, or maybe you will be needing to build a new layer, right, or a new shape file. The classification of the map should be done by total prisoners in 2019. The map should be critically explained considering all possible local and international reliable information sources. The map should visualize all the prisoners' information referred to 2019 as per the aforesaid table. Yeah, so the coordinate referencing system is also given to you. So you have to use this coordinate referencing system. You have to use the shapefiles that they have provided. You might need to type these the data in this table. You have to create a CSV file, right? You have to type this data and create a CSV file, and you can load that CSV file data to your on top of your map. Then maybe you need to adjust your layers in order to clearly view and understand the map, then you have to explain, right? You have to explain what is there in the map, right? You might use other information sources, for example, other information or other reports you can use in order to explain what is there on the map, right? In question D, what is there in question D? Clearly recognize the area explained and identify the education entities shown by the vector data provided. Develop a heat map and explain the nature of the education facilities available within the area and its contribution. Okay, I think this is based on the question. In question D, in question D, maybe they will provide a set of shape files. You have to load those shape files into your QGIS application, and then the education entities kind of data will be given to you. So you have to check with the attribute tables and identify the education entities provided on those shape files. And you have to develop a heat map and explain the nature of the education facilities available within the area and its contribution to the economic and social status development within the area. So you have to discuss, right? You have to build a heat map. For building the heat map, you have to choose based on what you are building the heat map. Then you have to discuss. You have to discuss what are the education facilities available in an area. What are the facilities which are available more, and what are the facilities which are lacking, right? And how the area is developed, is socially developed based on the education entities which are available there, right? So you have to discuss them. So it is actually, you will understand more about this when you look at the shape files, because I'm just explaining here, right? I'm just explaining here, and you if the data set was here, I could have shown it to you, but here we haven't got the data set yet. So everything is based on the data set here. So what you have to do is you have to load the data and then after see what you can do, like what you can explain, what you can understand from the map, right? Okay, so question E, you have to develop a creative and imaginative new city plan comprised of essential buildings, places, roads, monuments, and other required facilities for Port City Colombo with the aid of information provided by the official online source and the suitable information provided with the dataset. So here you are provided with the dataset again, and you can download or you can check for more information using this website. Oops. Yeah, you can go to this website and you can yeah, there are other information here. You can view and see. Okay, you can go to this link and see. You can get some other information and yeah, so what they have asked you to do is the digitization should be carried out with the support provided Port City Colombo image after completing dereferencing properly. Digitization and georeferencing should be done in association with QGIS OpenLayer plugins. Every vector layer attribute table should contain ID, name and type fields and associated data. The developed map should be well explained considering digitized entities and infrastructure facilities above with the support of reliable local and international information sources. For map development, use coordinate referencing system, this one. Okay, so what you have to do here is you have to build a new city plan. You have to build a new city plan. So a set of data or maybe shape files or maybe an image will be given to you and you have to digitize that image. Or let's see if that kind of image will be given to you. Okay, so this is the port city, right? Yeah. This is the proposed port city. So this is the bird's eye view, right? So you can let's see if if they send you an image for digitizing, then it is okay. If somehow if they do not send an image, then what you have to do is you have to get an image from this link, from the link they have given, and you have to digitize that image. That image means you have to take an image where you can see the whole port city, for example something like this. So this is the bird's eye view, right? The whole city can be viewed, and you can get such image and you can digitize it, right? And remember, when you are building the attribute table, for when you are digitizing things, you should include the ID, name and type as attributes. Okay, so that is what you have to do in question E. You have to convert a city plan into digital format. Okay. Okay, so in question F, develop a geospatial database called SL Pub Health to include all the information available in table 2.37 in page 89, public health personnel by district. Yeah, this one. So a PDF will be given to you with the data set. So you have to go to this table. You have to go to page 89 and you have to look at this table, table 2.37. The database should accommodate the vector files used to develop preceding map. So here you have to build a database. Maybe using PostgreSQL, you have to build a database. The vector files will be given to you. Using a SL Public Health geospatial database, develop a Sri Lanka map to visualize following information. So based on the information on this table, table number 2.37, you have to build a geospatial database using PostgreSQL, right? So then afterwards, you have to load that database into your QGIS application and build a map. The map should be analytically explained, considering all possible local and international reliable information sources. So the map that you have built should be explained, right? So in the map, you can include these things: district name, medical officers, nurses, assist medical officers, medical lab technologies. So this kind of information can be used in the database. When you're building the database, please consider these information as well, right? So what you have to do is you have to use PostgreSQL and build a database, one or several databases as your desire, and then you have to load that database into QGIS, right? You have to load the database into QGIS, and then you will be able to see a map. So when you load the database into QGIS, what you're doing is you are importing it as shape files. So you can then afterwards see a map created. You have to explain this map based on this information: district name, medical officers, nurses, assist medical officers, medical lab technologists, like that. Okay. Question number G. Develop a Sri Lanka map to visualize dedicated economic centers established in the island with geospatial information such as address, latitude, and longitude. The accurate GPS location should be retrieved via Google Earth as KML KMZ file. The map should be well described, considering entities indicated and the advantages provided by those entities for the national economy. Right? So a Sri Lanka map is, they are asking you to develop a Sri Lanka map. So what you have to visualize is, on the map you have to see dedicated economic centers on the map. So these centers are established island-wide. And how are we identifying the geospatial information is you can use the address, latitude, and longitude values. Right? The accurate GPS locations should be retrieved via Google Earth. So you can use Google Earth to retrieve correct GPS locations. Then you have to describe the map. Yeah, you can consider about advantages provided by those entities for the national economy. How these entities can be used for the national economy. Those kind of advantages you can explain. And they have given you an official page, ministry's page. So you can, if you need more information regarding these dedicated economic centers, then you can go to this page and see, right, to this website and see. Okay, any questions so far? No? Okay. Using the the next question, using the provided vector dataset about Peradeniya city area in Sri Lanka, develop an area suitability map. So you have to build a suitability map here. That clearly indicate the most suitable area for a new economic development research center to develop within the air distance range of 1 kilometer away from agriculture department and 0.6 kilometers away from Pushpadana Vidyalaya. So the air distance, right? Not the road distance. When you draw a line from one point to another, then that is the air distance, right? So you have to measure the distance from your ideal spot to this agriculture department and to Pushpadana Vidyalaya. Find out the most suitable area for constructing a for sale new government building. So this is the government building, the Economic Development Research Center, right? While finding following details through geoprocessing and analytics tools. So you can use QGIS here, right? The map should be followed by a full description of the feasibility of the found area, total number of buildings in that area, names of buildings situated, total area of the land occupied by the buildings, total area available within the suitability region. Okay, so this is actually how you have to find the optimal place to build the new Economic Development Research Center, right? And then afterwards, you have to answer these questions. So you have to give this, you have to count and give total number of buildings situated. You have to show the names of the buildings. You have to count and measure the total area of the land occupied by the buildings, total area available within the suitability region. So these information you have to include it with your report. Okay. Any questions? So without the data set, it is a little bit difficult for explanation, because if we have the data set, I can show you. So this is this things like that, but now it is not. It is a bit difficult. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Okay, anything you need to clarify? Did you understand all the questions? Okay then. So if you have any other issues that you need to sort out, you can ask. So we have only the next week for next week for the lecture. So it's either you can ask by the next week, or otherwise you won't be able to like clarify any doubts. So please go through this assignment, this report, and try to start to work on it. So apart from R&R Studio today, all the other things, all other applications we have done, right? Exercises and applications we have done. So you can use any other software apart from R or R Studio, like the other softwares like QGIS, PostgreSQL and stuff, to answer this the questions for this assignment, right? Okay, so today we will be talking about R and R Studio, right? Okay, so what is R? I think I have given you a handout, but I have included some extra things in these slides. So I will send you the handout, this final handout again, so you can be updated, right? So if we talk about R is a programming language, right? Similar to Java, C, C++, like that. R is also a programming language, and it has its own software environment. So what we do using R is we do statistical analysis and graphics representation, and we can also build reports, right? So R Studio, sorry, R language, the R programming language is basically based on it is very easy for us to do statistical analysis, right? Unlike languages like Java and C, R is mostly based on statistical analysis, and we can do graphics representations. We can create heat maps and other graphical representations, and we can build reports. R is freely available, and pre-compiled binary versions are provided for various operating systems like Linux, Windows, and Mac. This language was named R based on the first letter of the first name of the two R authors. So Robert and Ross are the authors of R, and that's why they have named this application or this programming language as R, right? So these are some advantages of R, right? So R is a well-developed, simple and effective programming language, which includes conditionals, loops, user-defined recursive functions, and input and output facilities. So very similar to the other programming languages, R also includes conditional functions. There are loops. There are user-defined recursive functions, and we can input and output data into and from R, right? R has an effective data handling and storage facility. We can handle data effectively, and we can store data, like large amount of data, large amount of arrays, matrices we can store. Okay, R provides a suite of operators for calculations on arrays, lists, vectors, and matrices. So we can use calculations simply. We can use on calculations on arrays, lists, vectors, and matrices, right? R provides a large, coherent, and integrated collection of tools for data analysis. So we can do data analysis easily because a large set of tools, integrated collection of tools, analytic tools are there in R, right? So functions are available for directly apply on data and do the analysis that we like. Okay. R provides graphical facilities for data analysis and display either directly at the computer or printing at the paper. So we can also build graphical presentations using R, right? Graphical facilities for data analysis is available. So I think you all will understand, rather than just showing a set of data, a text set of data, it is more attractive and more understandable when that set of data is graphically shown, right? Okay, so that is basically some introduction about R, and then we have the RStudio. RStudio is actually an IDE where we can use for our easiness purposes, right? It is an integrated development environment for R, right? RStudio is available as RStudio Desktop or regular. So it is a regular desktop application, while RStudio Server runs on a remote server and allows accessing RStudio using a web browser. So you can either install RStudio Desktop, where it acts as a desktop application, or otherwise you can use RStudio Server. So it will be connected to a remote server, and you will access RStudio using a web browser, right? So you can download. I think you already have built up your environment. I suppose so. So you can download and install R from this link, and you can download and install RStudio from this link, right? So both the links are given to you. So so this is the basic view of RStudio, right? So if we don't know about RStudio, this is the basic view. So if you can see, this is the environment of RStudio. So when you open RStudio, you can see this kind of layout, right? So the console is here, where you can type things, right? Like this, where you can type. So the console is here, and the environment. So for example, if you're creating a variable, if you're creating an array, those things, those objects or variables will be listed here. So it comes under the environment tab. It has a history tab where all your anything that you type and run here, all the functions that you have used will be available in this history tab. So there are connections. If you are using a remote server or a remote device, you can connect it and you can see the connections. And there is a tutorial also. You can click here and you can install the learner package. So you can install the learner package, and you will be able to learn, or you will be able to view some tutorials and work on it, right? It is actually useful for you to practice. So here in the bottom here, you can see your file browser will be available here under files. Then there are some other other like other tabs as well. So this packages tab actually consist of certain packages, certain functions that can be used with R. Okay, so you can click on this and they will be installed, right? Or you can click on you can click on these packages and you can install them here, right? Okay, so this is the basic environment of RStudio. And if we move on to the basics of R, so after you install R, you can in the start button, when you click on the start button, you will be able to see this R is installed like this, right? So when you open it, you will be able to see the console. R console will be available here, right? So I think I will leave these functions here. So this is how you can use certain functions. For example, this is here you can use. So I'll just show you some how basically what we can do with R. So this is your console here. Okay, so this is your console. Right. And yeah, so in R you are using comments using this hash sign. So this is a comment. Right. So the comment, that line will be commented, and yeah. So this is how you are typing variables. So I'll just type my string, and then this is how you assign a data or any a kind of data for a variable. So this assignment symbol will be these two symbols combined, right? This greater than or less than value, less than symbol and a hyphen, right? And you can write a string like world or something, and then just click type enter, right? So now what has happened is this string is being assigned to this my string variable. So if you want to print that my string variable, type it, and when you enter, you can see the value will be, this value or this string is assigned into this variable, right? So I think you can get the idea how values are assigned to certain variables. So R does not support multi-line comments actually. The only single line comment is available in R. So if you are like writing a very long sentence, then what you can do is you can use this kind of thing. Right, you can use this kind of static strategy to when you are writing comments with several lines, you can include inside an if clause, right? So remember all the other conditional operators and loops and stuff can be used inside R as well. So it will be the same, most probably the same syntax. So this is actually for you to get an idea. So like if you want to include the multi-line comment, you can include inside this this kind of condition, right? So this is actually one such example. So you can try and type this and see, right? So in R, so since R is a programming language where you can do many analysis stuff. So creating vectors, arrays, and those kind of things is very useful when you are doing analysis, right? Not only variables, if using arrays, vectors, matrices, those kind of storage locations are very useful when you're doing analysis, right? So these are, I have included some examples how to create a vector, right? So you can type this, you can type this data, right? So this is the vector name, apple is the vector name, and then you can create a vector, and inside the vector you can include the data sets, right? So you can print that, and you can print the class of the apple. The class of the apple means the data type of this variable or data type of this vector, right? So this is the output. I have given the output in front of the command, so you can check on that, right? And similarly, you can create a list and you can print that list. So when you're creating the list, so this will be the output, okay? And similarly, you can create a matrix. Okay, so you can create a matrix, and so when you print this matrix, you will see this kind of an output. And this is how you create an array, and that will be the output. Okay, so I will send you this handout to you, so you can try on these things, right? You can try on the basics, like creating a vector, creating a list, a matrix. You can create an array. Then you can. So this is assignment. So how to assign values, right? Using an equal operator, or you can assign values using leftward operator or using rightward operator. So you can just type these things and print and see what will be the answer, right? So yeah, I will send you this handout to you in this chat, because in the handout that I have sent you, these examples are not there. Okay, so, and I will give you a little bit of time for you to practice on these things, right? So please do, please type and see these commands on the R console, right? So this is the R console, or the RGUI, not the R Studio, right? Don't use the R Studio yet. Use the R console, because in the R Studio some syntaxes might be different, right? So these are the syntaxes where we can use directly in R. Okay. So in the R Studio you can type these commands and see. Okay, so I will be sending you this file. Okay, so this file will be uploaded and I will send you that. Yeah, so I have sent the file. I hope you have got it by now. Yeah, and yeah, Yeah, from slide 10 onwards, I have given some basics where you can use in RStudio, but until that, you can type these kind of these commands in R and C. Like I want you to be familiar with these syntaxes, right? Before we move on to RStudio and start and do some analysis, I want you to be a bit familiar with the syntaxes. So not only the syntaxes, the concept, right? How these lists are created, how these variables are created, and what are the how this data is stored based on the rows and columns. For example, in the matrix, uh, based on the data that we are inputting, based on the amount of the data and the specifications that we are mentioning here, uh, the rows and columns are created, right? So like that, I need you to do a little bit of practice regarding this commands, right? So like if you are finished with these commands, so there are only 3 or 4 slides here. So after you finish with the commands here, try to like change certain things, certain syntaxes, try to change, or you can refer to the internet and check on these, check on the different aspects of these commands as well. Okay, so I'll like give you a little bit of time. So it is 2:27. It's like 2:30. So we'll like take around 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. I will yeah, I'll give you that time for you to practice yourself. Okay, and in the meantime, you can go and check with your assignment. Please read it again, and if you have any places, if you have any things that you need to clarify, please bring them after the break. Okay. Okay then. So we'll start again at around 3. So please do these exercises and go through your assignment again and check whether you have to ask anything regarding the assignment. Okay, so yeah, I hope you have practiced with these syntaxes. Okay, so there are many tutorials online, so I'm not going to like teach you how to assign a variable. So assign variables and those stuff I have written here, like conditional operators and loops and other functions. I'm not going to uh, explain much in here. So I will. So we will go through some statistical related operations here. So you can, like any other programming language, what these are also has its functionalities. So if you like go to somewhere like tutorials point, or maybe W3 schools. So you can just type our tutorial W3 schools. So this, I don't know whether you know or not, but these W3 schools, they provide a very simple and understandable tutorials. So here you can study about the syntaxes and stuff. You can go and see. So the syntax about comments, variables, data types. Okay, so this is how you assign a variable. This is you just did about that. And data types, you can see what are the data types that is being used in R, like that. And there are certain functions where you can directly use in R. For example, uh, there's a function called max, where you can output the maximum number from a number set. There's a function called min. So like you can output the minimum number. There's a function called sqrt. So this sqrt function is the square root. This function finds the square root of the value which is inside these brackets. So ABS, it returns the absolute positive value number. Ceiling and flow, so you can check with the certain functions that are available with R, right? You can also check with the operators. So these operators are actually with it is similar to any other operators which are available in any other programming language. So that's why I'm not going to like talk about them again and again. So conditions, you can check for conditions, right? You can also try these examples here, right? So yeah, this is an example of how to use conditions, right? So like this, there is the while loop, okay, the for loop. So the while loop, yeah, this is the while loop, and we have the for loop. Sorry. We have the for loop. So like that, there are many. Not, I mean, the same functionalities of any other programming language is there, right? So there are also R functions. Again, like any other language, programming language, you can create function. So that's a small change in the syntax apart from the other programming language in R here. So that is all. So arguments, those kind of things you can use in R as well. So you can visit any tutorial like this and be familiar with the with our syntaxes, right? So I'm not going to talk much about it. So matrices, arrays, vectors, lists. There's those are some basic. Those are some basic data storage methods, right? So please be familiar with those methods as well. Okay, so do you have any questions regarding these R for now? So remember, you will be using, you are required to use R for your analytics, for analyzing the data that they have given, right? So do you have any questions regarding this up to now? So, so as I mentioned, R Studio. So these are the basics of R Studio. So as I mentioned previously, R Studio is simply the IDE where you can use the programming language R, right? So if you are familiar with MATLAB, if any one of you have done MATLAB, so in MATLAB also the same concept applies. So same concept means, so this is the R Studio layout. So you have the console here on your left hand side, right? And you have the terminal also. Then you can see the list of jobs that you have done, so like functions that you have run. Okay, so the console, what we do here, we work on the console, right? Okay, so if I start from the beginning, so under the environment tab, you will be able to see the variables, the arrays, the lists, and all the stuff that I am creating in my workspace, right? So in R Studio, the same commands that we are using in R will be applied here, right? So let's say I'm going to create my new variable, and here I can use the assignment operator or the equal sign, right? I can use the equal sign. Unlike in the R, I had to use two symbols in R console. If you can remember, I had to use two symbols here. But in the R Studio, I can use the equal sign or the assignment operator in order to assign anything to a variable. So I'm going to type some string like this, and I'm going to assign that string into my new var variable. I'll click enter. So when I click enter, you can see the new variable, my new var variable is being created here, right? My new var variable is being created here, and the value inside that variable will be shown here in front of it, right? The value inside the variable will be shown in front of it. Okay, so similarly, I can create a vector. So if I see something like this, if I create something like this, yeah. So I have to mention the the data type here. If you can see in this string, in this command that I have written, I have created a variable, or maybe a vector name. I have created a new vector, and the vector name is apple. And the vector's data type, or what is the data type that I am using into this in this vector, is character. So you can see here the new vector is created. The name is apple, and the information about the vector is also given here. So characters are used inside the vector, and the vector has 1 row and 3 columns. Right, 1 row and 3 columns. You can see that information here, and the details, right? The values which are inside the vector is given here, right? So it is easier in RStudio. So whenever you run a command, the result of that command will be displayed in this environment, right? So so we can use the print function. So when you type a keyword in RStudio, a set of suggestions will be appeared here, right? A set of suggestions will appear here. So we are going to print the class. The class of apple. See, so it will be a character class. So what is the data type of the data which is there inside the apple vector is being displayed here. So that is the class actually, right? The data type is the class. Okay, so you can use it like that. Then there is a list. So when you are printing a list, you can see there are unlike in the vector, So in vector, you are just writing a string of you are inputting a set of maybe characters or strings like that. So in a list, you can write, or you can divide the set of characters or any data that you are inputting, right? So this is how you are creating a list. So in a list, you first of all give a list name. So I'll just say list 1, right? And I'm going to type a list. I'm going to create a list, right? And I'm going to say that the list contains characters like this, right? So one list contains characters. Okay, so it will be like okay, and some value, yeah, some value and a function. So when I create a list, you can see a new variable or a new list will appear here. So unlike the other values, right, you can see we can expand this list. So this is how this list work, right? So in the first list or the first row, there is a set of numbers, right? Numbers are there. So one row and 3 columns of numbers are there. Then in the second place in the list, we have a single number or a single decimal number. Then in the third list, there is a function, right? In the third list, there is a function. So like that, this is how the list is created. So this will be the view or the how this list is created, right? And we also need matrices. I mentioned we need matrices when we are dealing with analytics using this RStudio, right? So how to create a matrix? We can first give the name of the matrix, and we have to specify that this is a matrix. So like in the previous time, we here specified that we are creating a list. So here we are specifying that we are creating a matrix. Right. So we can either create something like this. We can just input all the data, and then we have to mention the number of rows and the number of columns. Right. So here what we are doing is I'm going to create a new matrix called M. Then I have to mention that this is a matrix. Then I'll be writing the data here inside the matrix. I'll just write okay, so I'll just randomly wrote a set of data which I need to include inside the matrix, and then I have to mention the number of rows and the number of columns, right? So yeah. So here I'm going to mention n row means number of rows, how many rows I need. So let's say 2, and the number of columns, right? So comma, number of columns will be 3. Oops, what is that? Okay, let's see, by row equals true. Oops, here I haven't mentioned the data type, that's why. So okay, so let's see, non-numeric matrix. What's that? Yeah, you can check and see how to create a matrix like I don't know, non-numeric matrix extend. So I'll check with this error and see what happened. Okay, I'll check with this error, or otherwise we can do something like this. So so when you type, when you are typing the name of the function like the matrix or any other key function that can be used in R, a small window will pop up like this. So you can read, I mean the syntax examples are given here. So data, number of rows are 1, number of columns are 1. So you can, so maybe there is no comma here. Okay, so you can check with how to create a matrix. So this is okay with the R, but in RStudio there is I think some other syntax is being used. So you can check with the tutorials or check on the internet and see, right? So similarly, you can create an array like this. Okay, and this is how you assign how you assign to a variable, assign some values to variable. Okay, so yeah, so these are some those what I have shown are some examples of how you create certain data using the RStudio. So it is pretty similar like in R. So sorry about those errors. I will check with them and see uh, maybe I'm missing something, some syntax with the while writing in this RStudio, right? So so there are certain, as I have mentioned previously, there are certain functions that can be used in RStudio, right? Some functions that we can use directly, like some analytics functions, right? So I have given you certain functions here, so you can use them in your data set and see what happens, right? So for example, one function is the summary function. So if I just type or create a new variable, right? Something like a character variable, right? So you can see under the values there is a variable called x, right? And we can create a summary of this variable, the summary of the values in that function, in that variable. So for example, if we type summary here, the x, summary of x, so the values are 1, 2, 3 and 4. So a summary of the, like analytical summary of the given values will be given to you, right? So the minimum value, the first quadrant, the median value, the mean value, the third quadrant, and the maximum value is given to you here. So that is a basic summary. So whenever you are using whenever you want to analyze something, like if you want to get a mean, if you want to get a median or the minimum or maximum value, then you can simply enter that data into a variable or a list or array, and then you can run this function, the summary function, right? This summary function will give you a set of analytical results of the data that you have entered, right? Then I'm using this data again in order to generate a histogram. So hist is the word for it. So here this hist function computes a histogram on the given data values, right? So I'm using this keyword called hist, and I'm using the variable x. So you can see here a histogram is created. Histogram means how much the same value is being occurred, right? So here actually the numbers, the occurrences, right? So for example, if I do something like this, right? How many times these values are being used, right? So the number 4 is being used 4 times here. The number 4. The number 3 is being used once. The number 1 and 2 is being used twice. So the numbers from 1 to 2. And then from the numbers from 2 to 3. So when we take 2 to 3, the equal value, like the numbers from 1 to 2 comes here, comes under this square. So numbers equal to 1 and numbers equal to 2, both of the numbers will be represented using this bar, right? Numbers between 3 and 4 will be included into this bar, and the number 4, how many times it has occurred? It has occurred 4 times, right? So like that, the histogram can be created by using this hist function. Okay, so I hope you do not have any questions regarding to that. So there is another way how to write the histogram function. So just type hist and the data, how the data can be used, or how the data can be inserted is given here. So the set of random values will be used to create this histogram. So it will be hist Okay, so you can see the color of this histogram was changed according to the X and Y values or X and Y mentioned here, right? The X lab and Y lab. Okay, and we can also create something called a box plot. The data will be used like this. So this is the box plot, right? So when you're analyzing the data, in order to prove certain things, the box plot might be needed. So you might need to mention about the box plot, like how you have analyzed a particular thing, like that. So to confirm yourself what you have done or doing is the box plot, right? Okay, so this is another function. This is another function where normal values. So here we have given 100. Right. So numbers between 1 to 100 will be given here. Right. Numbers between 1 to 100 will be displayed here. Why? Will be displayed when I write this print statement. Yeah. So these are the numbers between, like the 100 numbers. So these are like random numbers, right? Random normal values. Random normal values. So these random numbers will be displayed like this, right? So this is again a matrix. Y is a matrix, right? And let's see histogram. Okay, so this is how you ask for help. So for example, if you do not know what happens with a keyword, a certain keyword, then you can simply type the question mark and then you can type the keyword. Okay. So when you type the question mark and a certain keyword that you don't know, a small tutorial, a small explanation will appear here, right? So here I have typed summary.aov. So here something, some explanation related to the word summary is being given here, right? So that you can take or you can view using the question mark and the particular keyword afterwards. It is like a help or a menu, right? Okay, so get WD means the working directory. So get working directory and set working directory is actually the based on the file path. So if you type get WD, then the working directory of that particular the like where you are working will be shown. So set WD means set working directory, and you can set where you are. You can set the directory where you are working. It is like saving a file after browsing for the location for the file to be saved. Okay. Okay, so I'll like give you a little like up to 5 minutes for you to practice these functions, right? Practice these functions and see what happens. So I'll give you around 5 minutes for that. I think all of these functions are there available in your handout. Okay, so so that is those are some functions where you can use to do your analytic stuff. And after you, like in this histogram, let's see. Let's see if we can create a histogram using this Y. So these are the values which are being used in this set of data, right? So this is the frequency. How many numbers or how many values are there between, so for example here, how many values are there between 0 and 0.5. So these amount of values are there. So this is the histogram. So you can export your histogram. You can save as an image here, or you can save as a PDF, or you can copy it to clipboard and you can paste on somewhere else. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, those are some basics. Okay, so in our studio, sometimes we need to load certain files, especially CSV files, and work on that files. We might need to perform some analysis on a set of large data, like that. So we can open, or we can load the CSV. Oh, sorry. We can load the CSV file from this text base, right? So, for example, there's a command called import dataset, and there is an arrow here. So when we click import dataset, we can load our dataset from as a text file, or from a text file, or from an Excel file, or from other application like SPSS, SAS, like that. So I'm going to click on from text file base file, and I'm going to go to the location where that file is. Yeah, so this is the CSV file. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to open it. So this is the data. So I think if you can remember, you have to mention how the data of this file is divided from each other, maybe using a tab, maybe using a comma, like that, right? So these values will be taken to here automatically. So please check whether it is okay, and here you can see the some sample set of data. So if everything is okay, you can import it. Okay, so this is the set of data. That data set will be shown here, right? Okay, that set of data will be shown here. Okay, so you can sometimes like you can read, or you can point that set of data into a variable. So here only this set of data is loaded to here. But if you are like, if you want to do some analytics using this set of data, you must have a name, or you must use a name or a pointer as a variable like this. You can point this set of data into a variable. So I'm going to type A and I'm going to type read CSV. So I can give the file name. Okay, so so here you have to mention the directory. So you can see here. Yeah. So this is the text file. So you can see here. Yeah. So this file is the read. Like you can just open the file using this import data set, or otherwise you can use this read function. So here you have to give the whole path, the directory path like this, where your file is situated, right, in your computer. So you have to give the long path here, and then you can like point this file that you have loaded here into a variable called A or whatever, right? So you can create a matrix also. Hello. Okay, so you can create a matrix from this file, from this data set, right? So how to do that? You have to give a name for that matrix and use this data.matrix and give the file name. Let's see. So you can see this data.matrix, and this is the file name. So here you can see a new matrix is being created, a large matrix. So here the number of elements and the size of the matrix is given here. So if you drop down, so here a set of only a set of data is shown here, right? How the number of elements are shown here, right? So this is the matrix that I have created using this text file. So you can convert the CSV data into a matrix, and then afterwards you can perform analysis on top of that. Okay. So you can use the string str command. So here what we are doing is we are viewing the data in the console rather than in the CSV file. So we can use this str function. Yeah, so this is the set of data. You can see it in the console, right? And you can get a summary like we did previously. Summary of the CSV file. So you can use either this one, this is it, because we have assigned that this CSV file to the variable called z, to the matrix called z. So here you can create a summary of z. So when you're creating a summary here, you can see the summary comes under all the columns. So for example, this ID column, the minimum value, the first quadrant, the median, mean, third quadrant, and the maximum value comes under this ID column. So like that. So for example, if we go to the deaths, yeah, the intensity, if you take the intensity here, right, if you can see here under this the summary, if you take the summary under the intensity column, so it defines the intensity of the tsunami which has happened. So this data set is about a tsunami data set. I think you can remember because we use this same data set when we were talking things in QGIS also, right? So this data set is about tsunami happenings which has happened throughout a number of years. So here, if we take the intensity values, the minimum intensity of the tsunami which has happened is 2. The maximum intensity value will be 12, and not available values are mentioned as 3224. So not available. So NAs are also given here, right? So the medium intensity will be 9, so like that, right? So the deaths also, number of deaths are also you can see the minimum number of deaths, the maximum number of deaths, the mean number of deaths, data which are not available, right? They are given here. Similarly, when we take the injuries, yeah, here the injuries also we can find the minimum, the maximum, the mean, median, like that. Okay, so analytics, right? Certain analytic stuff can be created using just by using the summary, right? So when you are answering your assignments, assignment questions, you have to show. So for example, you have to take a screenshot of this data of this analytics, and then you have to show and explain, right? You have to confirm or you have to prove that your answer is correct based on the values which are given here, right? So if you want to take something like minimum value, maximum value, mean, median, you can always use the summary function. Okay, so here are some other functions which you can use. So attach, summary, mean, median, standard deviation, and histogram also. So you can just type hist here and see what will be what you can see. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is the file name now. So let's see if I type Z here. Yeah, so these are large numbers, so you won't be able to see these clearly because there are very large numbers and most of the data are not available, right? So you can use these functions here, right? So you can try these functions. So I'll just give you like 5 minutes for you to try. I'll give you around 5 minutes for you to try. So please load one CSV file. It does not have to be this one always. You can load other CSV files that I have sent to you. And please try and use these functions on that CSV file that you are loading. Okay. So I'll give you around 5 minutes for you to like try and see. So if you encounter with any issues, you can ask. Okay, so if you have completed these working with these functions, so remember when you are working, when you are like using a function on a data set, since you are practicing right now, please do not just directly use the data set in a function and look at the result and then finish it. Try to, like, if you are able to change the values of the data set, try to change them and see what happens, right? And with the functions, sometimes you might have certain you might be able to do certain changes, certain variables might be able to be changed, so you can change them and see what happens, like that, right? So in RStudio, we can make a heat map. So for that, you have to install um, a package called gplots. So you can type this command called installed packages, and you can see whether that gplot package is already installed, right? You can type installed packages and see. So here these are all the list of the packages is shown here. So you can check whether you have that gplot package installed, or otherwise you can just install packages, type install packages gplots, and you can install this gplots package. So after you install this gplots package, you have to like when you start up RStudio, you have to import this library before creating heat maps. So if you are planning to create a heat map, then whenever you start your RStudio, whenever you start up your RStudio, you have to import this library, right? So in order to import the library, you can type this function, this command, right? Library gplots. Okay, and then this gplot library will be imported. So in order to create a heat map, you can use first of all, you have to convert your data set into matrix. So this is how you are going to do that. You convert your data set into matrix, and then you assign that data set into a variable. So this Z is a variable or a matrix, the name of the matrix. You can use any name there. Then you can use the heat map function, heatmap.to function, and you have to enter certain variables or certain information here. So first of all, you have to mention what is the matrix that you are using to create the heat map, and then you have to give the name for the heat map. It is under the main variable, and you have to mention trace none, and you have to give the margins, right? So these things are actually default values, right? Trace none and margins you can change and see. So that will be the margins of the heat map visual or heat map image that you are going to create, right? So try and create the heat map. You can see, you will be able to see this kind of heat map will be created. So you can also use other information, for example the colors. If you want to change the colors of your heat map, you can use the preferred colors that you like. So like this. So you can use this color ramp palette function, and inside this color ramp palette you should give the names of the colors. For example, if you want yellow and blue, you should give the names. So yellow, blue, green, red. So those are those are keywords actually, right? So you can give the names of the colors, and then you have to use this color ramp. You have to create a new color ramp palette. So this YB is the new color ramp palette, and then you can use that heat map function again. So the matrix name is here. Then you have to mention the color ramp or the colors that you like. So this YB includes the color yellow and blue. So yellow and blue will be used for as the color. Then you have to give the name of your heat map and then trace none, right? So like that you can create a heat map in RStudio. Okay, so we today we talked about a lot of functionalities in RStudio. So I'm not going to like load you with more functions here. So you can practice these basic functions or the basic syntaxes. You can always use tutorials online and practice these basic functions, right? So after practicing this basic syntaxes, you can move on to this kind of functions like histograms, box plots, um, yeah, those kinds, and what do you say, these heat maps like that, right? And you can also practice your practice functions like statistical functions like mean, median, standard deviation, like that. Okay, so on the next day we will talk about we will talk a little bit more advanced functions in RStudio, where you can use them in your assignment. So remember, when you are answering your assignment, you should whenever you say something, whenever you write something, whenever you give your idea in your assignment, you should prove it, right? You cannot just say that this is um, like this is the best place to create this building, right? You have to prove it. You have to say why, right? Like that. So yeah. So the first two questions actually require RStudio. So you will be able to answer those two questions by now. I mean, you have to, obviously you have to practice and be familiar with the R language, but you can, I mean, you will be able to perform some analysis, and according to the results you can answer these two questions, right? So you can take, so whenever you receive the data set, you can take this fatality.csv file, and you can load that data set into RStudio, and you have to see the possible associations. So there will be column names actually: traffic fatality rate, and per capita income, and tax on case of beer, and minimum legal drinking age, and average miles per driver, like that. So you can, what they are asking is you have to find associations. What are the similarities, or what are the differentiations between uh, these couples which they are given here. And you can perform correlation analysis. So we will be talking about those things on the next week. More functions, right? Correlations and yeah, those kind of things. So you can use them and mention or discuss how these two data sets, like how these two things, like how fertility rate is correlated with the personal income or rate tax of beer and other information given here, right? So see, they have mentioned that you have to do a critical discussion of your findings. So critical discussion means you have to prove everything. Even whenever you say something, you have to prove it using data and results, right? So based on the findings in the question A, you are required to develop a well-explained statistical model to predict precisely the traffic fatality rate using statistical regression analysis, followed by explanation of the resulting model. So you have to perform regression analysis. So this regression analysis should be based on the findings of the question A. Okay, so regression analysis and those stuff, we will talk about it on the next day. Okay. Yeah, so those two questions are the ones that you will be needing R and R Studio to work with. The others you can do using QGIS. Okay. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Okay, then if you do not have any questions, we will meet on the next day. I think the next day will be the final day of our lecture. So make sure you go through your assignment and check and see whether you have any issues regarding your assignment. So otherwise, when your issues come up, you won't be able to talk or discuss. So you might not be able to do your whole assignment by the next week, but just go through it and see how you can do it. Like at least look into the steps that you can do, right? And then if you come up with any issues, you can ask on the next day. Okay. I think by the next week, the data set and your presentation assignment will be received by yourselves. Okay then. So if you don't have any other questions, we can stop for today then.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, madam.